I'm Nick Masino. I'm the Vice President of Economic Development at the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also responsible for our Economic Development Initiative, which is called Partnership Gwinnett. So the reason why business retention and expansion efforts, BRE, is important is it's really the lifeblood of economic development in a business community in any community in Georgia. Specifically, when you think about the efforts of keeping an existing company and keeping them expanding in your community, it's much easier than going out to recruit a new company or create a company from scratch. And it's really the thing that you need to make sure is part of your everyday efforts as an economic developer. Again, keeping companies happy is much easier than going out and recruiting new companies. The reason why existing industry is important to the community is existing companies are already basically make up your community. You know, there's different sectors of the community. You have public, private, you've got education, you've got business, you've got government. This is your existing industry, and it really connects all of those things that I just mentioned. And these are the employers, these are the future job opportunities, and these are the presidents of these organizations. He or she is involved in their school system, workforce development. They're on boards of nonprofits, and it really is the makeup of your community. And you want to make sure that those organizations are happy, and that they're not just happy, but they're successful. When you start thinking about putting your budget together each year, you've got to put efforts into creating new companies, going out and grabbing existing companies from another area or an expansion. But then the other thing is, what are the efforts in retaining and expanding your existing companies? Clearly, when you put your budget together, you want to put the majority of your efforts into existing industry, because it is the biggest bang for your buck. It is your biggest return on an investment, because companies that are already there are already there. You're not having to travel around the country or around the world to go and spend time with them, to recruit them here. It's very expensive, obviously, creating a new startup. And as we know, many startups never make it. Your existing companies, imagine if all of the existing companies in your community just hire 5 people. Depending on the size of your community, that could be tens of thousands of jobs. So the effort's very little, other than some simple staff time and some expenses of driving over to see the company, or maybe taking them to lunch or taking them to breakfast. You want to go out and visit with companies, and that's really just your time. And finding out what they're about, what challenges they may be having, and using community resources to possibly solve some of those challenges. The stories of large, gigantic expansions are going to be farther and few between. And when we used to do existing industry visits, we always chose kind of the top 10, top 20 employers. And the fact of the matter is, we need to go and meet with everybody. And that means the 5-person company can be your next large employer. A great way to look at that is start thinking about in your community who was there 20 years ago, what their size was, and what they are today. And you want to make sure that you could help companies by using community assets, by making sure their great workforce development, great educational programs are in place so they can expand. And you don't know until you go out and meet with them and find out what is important to them and what do they need.